Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I am your host, your anointed expert life strategist, Karina Calhoun, and I'm super excited today. We've got a very special guest on the show, and I know I say this all the time. I feel like a broken record, but I'm not. Okay, I'm not, because I know the amazingness that these guests are bringing to the show. They are literally pouring out their heart, and today is not going to be any different. Grab your notebook, grab your pen, grab something so that you can take notes, because gems and jewels are going to be dropped today. Miss Shelly, how are you today?
Doing well. Thank you so much for being here.
I love it. I love it. I love your bright smile. As soon as you popped on the camera, I was just like, yep, this is going to be good. I already know it. I can feel it within my feeling. I know it. I know it. I know it. I know it. So I'm super excited. So tell us your name and tell us where in the world you are.
Yeah. So I'm Dr. Alicia Shelly, and I actually am in Atlanta, beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, here in the South.
I love it. So Dr. Alicia, we always want to make sure we add in that honorarium because it's due.
Yes.
Period,
yes.
point, simple. You know?
Yeah. And sometimes you work hard for it, and it kind of hits you when people I'm not saying everybody needs to call me doctor, but if I'm actually in the position of a doctor and I'm treating you, please put that doctor on there. I work so hard. And I think sometimes too, as being women, and African Americans, sometimes people think you're the nurse. And so it is important to kind of put it on there. We don't have to be as formal today, but I'm just saying in general.
Listen, you my sister, and I'm going to say you my sister, and that's all good, but I'm going to honor you, and you will be Dr. Alicia today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And because, I understand that yes, there is a time and place for everything. But when you're in the workplace, that's absolutely the time and place for it. So, and this may or may not have anything to do with what you're going to share with us today, but just kind of talk a little bit about that. Is it considered microaggression? When people don't call you doctor in the workplace and they assume that you're a nurse?
Yeah. So, the funny thing is I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt, so I don't try to take it quite as personally, but I do try to correct people like in there, sometimes I walk in and it's just people like Miss Shelly. I'm like, oh no, I'm a doctor. And it's not that I'm trying to be mean or ugly. And I don't even correct people in a way that should be offensive, but I do want them to know, because sometimes when I leave the visit, I want them to know they were in the presence of a doctor. So when they're talking to their friends, they're like, oh, this nurse came in here, she was telling me what to do. Because some people, even though it says I'm seeing Dr. Shelly, they may not necessarily correlate when they see me being a female and then being a Black female. Unfortunately for physicians, like Black females, we're like less than 5%, even probably less. So in Atlanta, we are so blessed to have so many African American physicians, but in other parts of the country, we are rare. We are rare. I had one lady tell me, she's like, I'm so glad I got a Black doctor. I lived in Florida, I couldn't find him, and I'm just so happy I have it. So if the person keeps doing it, then I think it would be microaggression. But usually people, I say it in a loving way, and I try not to be, offensive, but they tend to understand. Just because, when I was in residency, walking into a room, sometimes people didn't know the people who were coming in and out. And so I always wanted to make sure that they understood, oh no, I'm not the nurse. I'm the one who's prescribing your medication and going through the plan on what we're going to do for you today. So
come through now, come through.
And it's not that I need to hype myself up. I just need to know that we as your doctor team are helping you get well.
And I believe that representation is absolutely key. I know for myself, when I was looking for a therapist, and I know you're not a therapist, but just on that doctor level, when I was looking for a therapist, I wanted a Black woman who shared the same faith beliefs as myself. And there were for many reasons. That was for many reasons, because there was just some things I just did not want to explain, and I wanted to be able to have somebody that had that qualification, but understood certain dynamics. And so I absolutely honor you and what you're doing. So let's jump into, we know that you're a doctor. So how are you loving on the world around you?
Yeah, so I'm so blessed to be here, to be not only a physician, but to be working in my calling. So I'm a board certified internal medicine, obesity medicine physician. And so I work as a primary care doctor, and then I also help people with losing weight. And the reason why I got into this was I didn't go into med school being, this is what I want to do. This something kind of evolved, because I realized personally, I have struggled with my weight since childhood. And you get a lot of people that have a lot of biases, people who are putting you down, family members who are putting you down. These are people.
Honey, can we park right there for a second? Because I was extremely slim when I was young. And so then when I had my daughter, all the questions came, when I would walk in the room. Girl, you picking on some weight, ain't you? You still holding on to that baby fat. Things that it would be a key afterwards, but not understanding the detriment that was going on internally. So listen, we got to stop with that underlying negative speech.
So true. And it's not even for people who are have extra weight, but even people who are too slim or too thin, they're getting this negative connotation, these thoughts, these people making these comments that kind of seed into our thoughts. And so I wanted to kind of learn more for myself, so it helped me with losing weight. And then in the interim, this was something my patients were asking me about. Like, I would come in thinking we're talking about blood pressure. But in actuality, the patient's like, Doc, I can't lose weight. What can I do? And so I went on and got extra education in obesity medicine to learn. And there's so much, we've been taught that with obesity, that it's just because we eat too much or we're not exercising enough. But in actuality, there are multiple reasons why people gain weight. It can be genetic. It can be endocrine, as far as like the thyroid. Sometimes people have PCOS, which makes it hard to lose weight, depression, anxiety, behavioral things. So there's multiple reasons why people get, I'm sorry, I didn't even talk about medications that can make you gain weight. Hello, I gained 30 pounds with birth control. Like, it did not do well with my body. And so I went into this area realizing that there's more to it. And we have been hoodwinked. We have put the blind over our faces about what's causing it. And it's made us feel bad, because we're like, well, I've been doing everything I can to lose weight, but I just can't seem to do it. It's something I'm doing that's wrong. When in actuality, it may be other things. And so I try to share that. I actually started a podcast called Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss, so that we could talk about the different things that are causing us to gain weight, and how we can overcome it in a healthy way. Instead of doing the yo-yo dieting, instead of restricting our diets too much, we want to focus on what is a healthy lifestyle, what is a healthy nutritional plan we need to be on. How can we be more physically active in our busy schedules? Because we're busy people. We have so much going on, and so that's what I try to talk about and try to promote in my podcast.
I love it. And just kind of going back to the comments and things, my mind is literally racing. And I remember someone making a statement many, many years ago when I had to check me, because I was one that thought this. They said that when people look at the more slender people, they say, well, what do you need to exercise for? Why do you need to lose, weight? Why do you need to do this? You should be healthy. That's a misconception.
No, you're absolutely right. There are some people who are thin, but not healthy. Like, they have they've done like studies looking at people's livers and looking just at their body fat. And even though, quote unquote, they're thin, they have a fatty liver. They have like fat surrounding the organs because of how they're eating, even though, quote unquote, they're thin. So you're absolutely right. You can be unhealthy thin, just because of how you're treating your body. drinking too much alcohol, eating fast food all the time. These are things that can actually have detriment and actually worsen medical conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes. I have people who have diabetes who are thin. And it's really sometimes for them, it may be genetic, but then also sometimes we control it with how they eat. And by just making small baby step changes, it makes a huge difference. And that's, sorry.
No, go ahead, finish.
And that's the thing that we need to focus on when we're trying to lose weight or even just be healthy. It's just focusing on one or two healthy behaviors that you want to do. In our mind, we think we have to just do everything all at once, but that's overwhelming. So just choose one or two like baby steps to focus on and then master those and then choose a couple other ones to go, just keep moving forward.
And it sounds like really, Dr. Alicia, that we need to change our mindset as it relates to body type, body weight, and what is healthy and what is not. Because just because someone is thin does not mean that they're healthy. Just because someone is maybe larger than what we expect doesn't mean they're unhealthy. It's really, let's look at that individual. And so if we can change the mindset, then we can begin to change some of these, as you said, the yo-yo diets, the fads that are going on out here that really, I've seen things where it is just absolutely crazy, as far as losing the weight and then gaining it all back. So how can people, number one, how can people get in touch with you? And then number two, talk to us a little bit more about your podcast. I know you've already told us the name. Tell us the name again, but how can we find you? What platforms are you on? Different things like that. What day are you airing? I mean, we need to know everything. We need to be writing it all down. We need to get it in. It needs to, listen, everyone that's listening, subscribe to her podcast. Make sure you comment, send in questions, do everything that you need to do. Listen, it's the beginning of 2023, but let's not, these resolutions that people said that they're done with within a day or two, let's not be those people. Yeah. Let's do this long-term for the long haul for our purpose. Dr. Alicia, give us that information. I'm not going to preach today. I'm not going to do it.
Hey, that's all right. We can keep preaching. So, my podcast is the Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss. You can find it at wherever you listen to podcasts. It's on Spotify, Apple, iMusic, wherever you go. You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Shelly MD. Also, I do have a free course, online course for your audience today. And you can just go to thriveforlifechallenge.com/kickstart. So this is just a free course to kind of help you get back on track in 2023. And that, like you said, we're not just doing the resolutions for a day or for a week. We are changing our lives. We are changing our lives so that we can live a healthy and happy life. But feel free to, yes, definitely please subscribe and share with others because people need to hear it. People need to know you can live healthy.
I want to submit a challenge to those that are listening and watching, because we're now, for those that don't know, we're now releasing our YouTube videos. So we're building that platform out. So go check us out on YouTube. We're also doing video on Spotify. So you can go and watch the video instead of just listening to the audio. But for those that are tuning in, however you're tuning in, I want to submit this challenge to you. There's this thing that has been going around for several years now where people are talking about generational wealth. And when they talk about generational wealth, they talk about money. They talk about materials. They talk about the aspects that can fade away. I want to submit to you today this challenge. Let's include in our knowledge repertoire that, or in our generational wealth repertoire knowledge. This is going to do it. knowledge of self, knowledge of health. Health can be wealth if you allow it to be. Pass that along to your generations. Let's do that today, specifically in my Black and brown communities. I can say it because I am in that community. Okay, so be aware of the knowledge that you're lacking and the knowledge that you need. Go to Dr. Alicia's podcast, get the information, because when you begin to put these pieces of information into daily practice and routine, you pass that information along unknowingly to those around you. Your children begin to see you eating differently, feeling better, moving around. And that then enlightens them, and then they take it on to their children and their children. Listen, we got to think of things differently. Again, I'm not going to preach today.
But you were bringing the word. You were bringing the word.
So what do you say about that, Dr. Alicia? Because I know there's work for us to do, and I'm by no means beating anyone up. I'm just stating the obvious. But with stating the obvious, I'm giving you a solution to go see Dr. Alicia.
And so the one thing I would say is that I've had people who, when they have decided that they wanted to make a change in their lifestyle, whether it's, for example, I had one lady, she was a grandmother, she was taking care of her grandchildren, and she just started eating healthy. She just started buying fruits for herself, and the kids had their snacks, and she got upset because the kids started eating her fruit. And it was just like, they learned from watching her. I have another client, she started exercising where she would take like just 30 minutes, go downstairs, get on the bicycle and start exercising. And for some reason, her kids would just trickle down there. She'd look up and they'd be right there in her face, like, what you doing, Mom? Okay, I'll exercise with you. So sometimes we want to get our kids involved, but they need to see you do it so that they actually feel like, okay, this is cool. This is something that's healthy. Let me go and join Mom. And then before you know it, you're having a moment with your family that you didn't even think you could have along healthy habits. But you got to start. You got to start. And I think what you're saying is right. We have to do something different than what we've been taught or what we've seen so that we can get a different result, so that our kids can grow up liking drinking water. Our kids can grow up liking vegetables. I remember I had one client, he was 50. And he was very adamant that he did not like any vegetables. And I'm like, but have you had all of them? Like, I'm sure there's somebody that can make a good vegetable for you. And you'd be like, this is off the chain. But he's like, no, I like no vegetables. And your kids don't have to grow up that way.
Absolutely.
You can be able to instill the healthy principles in their lifestyle so that when they grow older, they can teach their kids, and you all can live a longer, healthy lifestyle where this is just not, taboo. This is something that you all do to live healthy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So give us one more time the name of your podcast, and then any website that you have. I know you gave us your IG and different information, but I just want to get it in again, and also tell us that free gift. And remember, folks, we do have clickable links. So we'll make sure we have all of this information in the show notes, because we want to make sure you get this. We are starting 2023 off with not just blaring in your face, these are the problems that you face, these are the problems that you have, these are the obstacles, but we're saying it, but then we're putting in front of that those solutions that you can have.
So you can find me at Back on Track, Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. My website is drshelleymd.com. And the free gift for you is the thriveforlifechallenge.com/kickstart. And
I love it. I love it. I absolutely love it. Dr. Alicia, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to leave for the audience? Not that you've not already just dropped bombs today. This has been an absolute amazing conversation that I know, you have to be motivated and inspired. You know, I tell people motivation, it comes from within. Inspiration comes from without. You got to be motivated, but you've also got to be inspired. And I believe today you've inspired some people.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And
And
I am truly appreciative for that.
oh, thank you so much. Some last parting advice I would say is the first thing you need to do to kind of get started with your weight loss journey is definitely believe that you can do it. Having that unwavering faith will help you know that this is, because sometimes, I don't know about you, I get these negative thoughts in my mind, just remembering all the things I did before that didn't work. And so is this going to work today? But if you have faith and believe that you can do it when the hard times come, when the obstacles come, when I got to take my kids here, I got to do this project at work comes, you will continue to keep going with your weight loss journey or with your healthy journey. So number one, believe. The second thing I'm going to tell you is that once you believe, schedule what your healthy habits is. If it's like, I want a meal prep, make sure you put it on the schedule. You're doing that every single week. And the third thing is just be consistent. Be consistent. And the fourth thing is give yourself grace, because there will always be something that comes up. But if you just give yourself grace for not being able to do that healthy habit that day, but hey, you're going to do it the next day and just be consistent, you'll find that you'll reach your healthy goals because you are consistent and you'll see the change. You'll see the change. I guarantee it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Amazing. 4 words of wisdom, 4 tips to help you to really be the best that you can be. So folks, this has been another amazing episode of Go Be Great with Coach Karina. And we've had Dr. Alicia on the show, Dr. Alicia Shelly out of Atlanta, Georgia. Please go and visit her podcast, subscribe to it, send your questions into her, share it with your family members. Listen, even share it with your enemies. In order for them to remain your enemy, they got to be good and healthy. So
Yeah.
So let's get to it, people. Let's get to it. So I will see you all on the flip side. Bye for now, folks.